guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my mid-year book freakout tag. So honestly, I'm just gonna jump right into it. I don't really have much to say in advance of just answering these questions. I am gonna say that I'm too lazy to hold the books up or go find them, and I have not looked at these beforehand, so this might get confusing. But I am gonna pop all of the covers of the books that I'm talking about over here, and we're just gonna get started. I have the questions pulled up, and the first one is the best book that you've read so far in 2021. Without question, this is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I read this 2 weekends ago. I'm still thinking about it. I probably would have put the effort in to hold this one up for you guys, but I did loan it out to somebody, so I don't have my physical copy right now anymore, but it was so good. It's a sci-fi first contact kind of story. Andy Weir outdid himself. I loved The Martian. I loved Project Hail Mary even more. The characters, the science, I nerded out so hard over the science. The science was so great, and the whole first contact aspect of it was also super interesting. I cannot recommend it enough. If you are remotely interested, if you liked The Martian, 100% go pick up Project Hail Mary. The next one is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2021. I should have just kept my whole list up. I just finished filming my tier ranking for 2021 and I put it away, which was a poor choice. So, turns out this question is harder than I thought it was. I guess for lack of really any other choice, the only real sequel that I've read this year that I would consider towards the top of the list would be Caliban's War, which is the sequel to Leviathan Wakes. I really did enjoy that, so I guess that's the best sequel that I've read this year. I haven't really read too many that I would consider. If you looked at my tier ranking, the sequels were mostly in my loved it category, not in my new favorite category. So Caliban's War is really the only choice that I have. The next question is a new release that you haven't read yet but you want to. There's two that I'm going to say for this. I'm going to say The Counselor by E.J. Beaton, which is like a political fantasy about a super scholarly kind of like advisor to I think she's a queen, who gets thrust into being a ruler and she really doesn't want to, and then I think she begins to enjoy herself and exert her power, and I heard great things about it, about the politics, about all of it, and I have an arc for it, but it came out in March and I haven't read it yet. I keep trying to, and I keep like picking it up at exactly the wrong time. So that's the first one that I would say. And then the second one that I would say is Half Sick of Shadows by Laura Sebastian, which technically I think this comes out in July. But I have the arc of this, but I also received it as a physical copy in my Book of the Month box. So technically it's kind of like out for some people. If you have Book of the Month, you had the option to get it early. So I'm gonna count that. I haven't read it yet. I got it a few weeks ago. I would really like to. I loved Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, so yeah, I would really like to read Half Sick of Shadows because it's an Arthurian retelling and she's doing like adult fantasy. It sounds super interesting, so I can't wait. The next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I have a few that I would probably say for this. Going through the list of things that I am looking forward to, I would say Winter Light by Kristen Britton is the next book in the Green Rider series. That's definitely towards the top of my list. It would 100% be Paper and Blood by Kevin Hearn if I hadn't already read the arc of it, so that was one that I was looking forward to that comes out in August. Let's see. The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. I really enjoyed reading, what's it called? A Deadly Education, the first book in the Scholomance series. I thought that was really good. Can't wait to see what happens next. And Aurora's End, which is by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I mean, I loved the first two books. Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning were so great, and Aurora's End is the finale, and after the cliffhanger that we got at the end of Aurora Rising, I obviously cannot wait for the next book in that series. So, yeah, those all come out, like, towards the end of the year, so they all count for my anticipated releases. My biggest disappointment. I think there's a couple that I could say for this, and sorry, I'm looking at my phone trying to figure out what I've read already and haven't. The first one I'm going to talk about, there's been a few disappointments, is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. I really just don't think that lived up to my expectations after The Diviners. Wild Card by Marie Lu. I really enjoyed Warcross, and Wild Card just did not stick that landing for me. Meant to Be Immortal by Lindsay Sands. I was so hyped up because I really do love her like vampire romance series about the Argeneau family. I did not end up liking it at all. And How to Be a Badass Vigilante. I mean, I didn't really go into it with the highest of expectations. I didn't really go into it with any expectations, but the way that I came out of it was deeply disappointing, so that's gonna go on the list. I think Legacy by Nora Roberts, just because I talk about Nora Roberts on my channel a lot. I really enjoy her books, I really enjoy her writing, and this standalone just really did not do it for me. So I know I was supposed to pick one, but I'm really bad at that. Biggest surprise is going to be Project Hail Mary, because I really didn't think that I was going to love any of his books as much as I did. Like, The Martian was really great. I dragged John and our roommate at the time to the movie theater. Like, I finished the book that day that the movie came out, and I made them go to the theaters with me so that I could watch it. And it surprised all of us with how much we loved it, honestly. So I didn't think he was going to be able to top The Martian, but Project Hail Mary topped The Martian for sure. I adore that book so much. And then I would say The Shadow of the Gods, because I kind of have like overly positive but mostly like okay feelings towards the Faithful and the Fallen series so far. There's just a lot of points of view to juggle, and there are some characters that I really love and some characters that I just don't care about and some characters that I actively despise. So I wasn't sure how to feel going into Shadow of the Gods, and then I ended up absolutely loving it. Question number 7 is favorite new author, whether it's a debut author or a new to you author. I would have to say, I think one of them is going to be James S.A. Corey, even though that's an author duo, because I've been really enjoying the Expanse series. I think John Gwynne is rising to the top of my list, although technically I didn't start reading him this year, so I guess that doesn't count. Jen Williams, I really enjoyed The Ninth Reign. Rosaria Munda is a debut author with Fireborn, which I read this year, and that was fantastic. And then I think Andrea Stewart as well. I really enjoyed The Bone Shard Daughter, and that was one of my favorite reads so far this year. Newest fictional crush. I don't really know that I have one. There's no, like, male protagonist that truly, as I scroll through my series that I've read here, sticks out to me as somebody that I could pick for my new fictional crush. I think maybe Hadrian from Michael J. Sullivan's series, or Lee from Fireborn is definitely an option. Oh, or the guy from The Bone Shard Daughter, whose name is escaping me right now. I'll pop it right here. But he just, like, he doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to do the thing that he's trying to do, and he keeps just getting sucked into being heroic. And it's entertaining, and he treats his animal companion very, very well, and those are all things that are important to me. So actually, I think that's gonna be my answer. The next question is newest fictional character. Let's see. Jovis is at the top of the list, but so is Methy. I would say also Rylan from Project Hail Mary and Rocky. I'm not gonna go and elaborate on that anymore because spoilers, but like those two are fantastic characters in Project Hail Mary. I think Rocky actually takes the cake as my absolute favorite character that I've read this year. So, a book that made you cry. The only book that I can think of that really made me cry this year was Fireborn, where I cried in public. I do cry in books, like I'm not gonna say that I don't. I do cry in books, but it takes a lot for me to get attached enough to the characters to cry, and Fireborn accomplished that. So Fireborn will be the answer for that one. And a book that made you happy. There's a lot of those. The Bone Shard Daughter made me happy. Leviathan Wakes made me happy. Project Hail Mary made me happy. Dating Makes Perfect by Pintip Dunn made me happy. Yeah, there's quite a few. Most of the books that I read that became my new favorites this year obviously had that effect on me. Let's see. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? Have I seen any book to film adaptations? Why do I feel like I haven't watched any book to film adaptations? We watched The Knife of Never Letting Go. I don't know that it's my favorite. I also haven't read that book, so I don't know if it counts. I don't know that I have an answer for this. We've watched a couple of animes, but I haven't finished ones that were actual adaptations. Yeah, I don't know. If I think of one, I will insert it here after, like, in a thing, but I don't know the answer to this right now. The next question is your favorite video that you have done so far this year. I really enjoyed making my tier ranking video. That one was towards the top of my list. I have enjoyed the challenges that I've done. I enjoyed my blind date with my bookshelves. There's a bunch of videos. You guys should go watch them. Number 14 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. And I think the answer is either going to be The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick, or it's going to be Witches Steeped in Gold, which I got in my most recent Fairy Loot box. Those are both absolutely beautiful. There have been a lot of really good covers this year, so like Shadow of the Gods is also amazing. But I really think Witches Steeped in Gold is going to have to take the cake, just because it's a special edition and it's got really cool edges. It's got like stenciled edges, there's cover on the reverse dust jacket. It's beautiful. So the final question on this list is, what books do you need to read by the end of this year? There's a few that jump out at me, and the first one is Ruin by John Gwynne. Not only was it voted for in a poll on Twitter to be one of my June books, from my TBR jar. There's also The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, because I lost the first line challenge and that was John's pick for me. All of the arcs that I have that I need to get through by the end of the year, there's a whole bunch of those that I need to start catching up on. I'd really like to read Rhythm of War this year. That's on the list. Guys, I had to get an entire TBR shelf. Let's just put the whole thing in this category. So that is it for my book Freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like it if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to, because it really helps out my channel. I will do my best to link all of these books that I discussed down in my description below, where you will also find all of the links to my social media and Goodreads and all of that stuff. And I think that is it for me today, guys. I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!